All right, live streaming. All right, here we go. Looking forward to today. Hello, like sitting in how to create 13 hours of peace a day. The 5 steps that only take 10 minutes a day. So how to create 13 hours of peace. Now, peace, it doesn't have to be peace. Like how to replace 13 hours of negativity with positive. 13 hours of negative thoughts and feelings and replace that with positive. Look, I read an article today. Here's what I'm aiming at. And it's like peace. It's like any emotion that we want, just to notice that we all want positive and we don't want negative. So let's make it simple and say, let's look at emotions. Let's look at thought and feelings as positive or negative. And we can always say neutral. And so I read this article. It said, look, they studied that we had 6,000 thoughts a day. That's pretty cool. 6,000 thoughts per day. Okay, like, all right, I don't know what that means, but it's 375 per hour. 375 an hour. That's one every 10 seconds. So that means our focus, our ego, our focus, our attention can be on a thought for about 10 seconds. Wow. So 375 in an hour, 6,000. And I say, look, like in our sleep, I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to only say like 16 hours, right? 16 hours. Now, the number doesn't matter. I just giving you a perspective. Here's what's key about this is that they said 80% are negative. 80% of our thoughts are negative. That's average. But of course, you're above average. And we're still producing the life that we have. It's a great life. 80%, that's 13 hours of negative. Here's the very interesting part. Of these 80% that are negative, that's 13 hours, 95% are the same patterns. They're repeated over and over. So you got to say one of those has to be a majority, right? And so if you were to just focus on one thing, that would be about 6 hours. Now, what I say is most of us have 2 real limiting beliefs that here in 10 minutes will move out of the way. Or you can spend a lifetime fighting, struggling, wrestling, overcoming your belief, your emotion. So are you aware of your thinking, of your focus? Not if you're in negativity. It's like, oh, this is a choice. What I want you to be aware, it's a choice. And so what would you do with 13 extra positive hours? What could we create then? You can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. What would life be like? Wow. So what that says is that we're creating your life today, on average, 20% is aimed at positive, like how you would want it. What if it was 100%? You're going to say, it can't be. And I'll say, perfect. That is the resistance. That was what I want you to be aware of. Because when we are aware of that resistance, we notice that our pattern is to avoid it. So Jess, you say, what do I listen to? It's like, oh yes, listen for fear. What are we afraid of? Listen for we're giving our power away, and it's in our words and it's in our emotions. And what we're looking for is where they're misaligned. So you will ask, like, how did we get here? How did we get misaligned? And it's our human journey that we're on. And there's 3 characters in this story that make up you. Your name. My name is Jesse. I'm going to talk from my personality. And the youngest is my ego. I call ego. Hello, ego. It is my inner child. It is my youngest memory that I can think of. And it's 4 to 6 years old. Its purpose is to experience life. It is your inner child. And this information that has only been available is for that experience of life from 6 to where you are now. And man, this is the aspect of you that is your self-talk. It'll be a conversation of you. It's your thoughts. And when we can slow down the ego and pay attention to it, there's so much more information there. And that's where we're going to step into is the next largest, the largest character, the biggest character, the oldest character, next oldest, I should say, is Otto. Otto as an automatic. As an Otto has patterns and he does automatic patterns. No one's there, Otto. Otto is just a tape player, just a program. No one's at the controls, just habits. What has worked and what has worked to do what? Stay alive. So Otto takes care of everything that ego is not caring for, is not paying attention to in that moment. So whatever ego is focused on, in terms of life and survival, Otto is taking care of everything else. So this is your breathing, your digestive system, your immune system, your breathing, your heart, everything that is there to keep you alive. And Otto has taught ego everything through emotions, through feelings. And many of these feelings, ego didn't want to face, couldn't deal with because they were too traumatic. And so together they built up this wall, this fortress, and that is where your true self is still hiding. Now, ego and Otto don't always agree, but there's one thing that's for sure. Otto always wins. Otto resists change. Otto does not want anything new. And if it's only been experienced, it is only safe. Change is not safe. It is risky. So Otto resists change and ego wants the experience. Inner war, who's always going to win? Otto. And how do you talk with Otto? Emotions, feelings. No one's there, but you feel it. And when you feel it, then all of a sudden stories, words start to show up, and then ego can start to pay attention to it because ego is a very, very important part. Remember, ego provides the focus and it wants the experience. And its best experience is going for what it loves, the inner child that has been blocked, caged in, not allowed to be out because this world has been mean, been angry, been, everything, painful, fearful. And it's just what we're there. So change is scary. Otto resists it. It's all about survival. It values the experience only, and it is the most important. And the third one is Sue. And Sue is the entire family. It is your history. It's your whole family all the way back since life has begun. See, we are all a surviving line with information that is passed through our family fields that create a humanity field that intersects energetically. Energy intersects. There is no past, present, or future there is no time in energy. And that is why it is our greatest resource, because we can always plant it and give it a little love and it grows. And then the intention is to amplify it. And that is when we are a powerful creator. So Sue has your history. It's your humanity. It's part of humanity's information. It is the path to source. It is all infinite information. It is everything and it is nothing. It's your higher true self. And this part is creative. It gets involved in creation, in love, in peace, in passion. That's when it gets involved. And that is the three brains. And so the three brains, just going to turn my sheet over, my notes, my cheat sheet here. So the three brains, and now it's like, how do they work together then? See, did you see they each have different objectives? Let's cover the objectives again, just so we know. Ego is our youngest from age 6 to where you are now. It wants to experience life. Yeah, it wants to experience different things, but Otto says, no, we have to play it safe. I don't like to change. And that's our inner war. That's our real battle. And it's like our inner self, when there was fear out there, has been protected. And so in that is where we really fight to be right. Yeah, our judges there, we're always judging other people. So our patterns, 80% of our patterns are negative, and they're 95% the same. So if we can find these big patterns, and there's 6 of them, right? I'm not good enough. I don't belong. You're not worthy. I'm not capable. And not until it's perfect will I be good enough. I can't be loved. Here. And so like thinking about this, it's like here's our 3 minds at work. It's like hot. What do you say? See, they're opposites of each other, right? Rich. Yeah. Give. Is that really what you want? Do you want to give and take? See, these are our patterns. And just what we're working to do is quiet the ego mind so that we can begin to feel. See, our life has been so busy, so distracted. Our focus has been all distracted everywhere. And our unconscious tells us that that's the safe way to live life. And see, it always will be right. Yeah, this unconscious, because it's protecting your inner child, your heart. And it's like, and we're so afraid of being seen as who we really are. And then Sue, who is our superconscious, it is our genius, it is our connection to source, it is infinite information, just wants us to have a choice, to experience, doesn't care good or bad, because it's the higher self. It's above the experience. It's above the duality. It's above the ego mind that has to experience, has to point to it to create it. Because creation is created twice, one in the invisible with the thought, and then it's completely fueled by the emotions. That is the gasoline, that is the fuel, that is the fire that gives it the momentum, the action, which action is what life is all about. And so in it is for us to take obvious action, the obvious action. Hi, baby. And the obvious action is not to be in negative moods, not to be in negative feelings, because we're responding to a world out there that's much bigger than us. So those are the 3 and how they work. Now I just want to cover like the journey, because it's all about our human journey, is to reignite them, bring them together, introduce them together, because they all have different experiences that when they're whole, when they come together, is when we live. And all aspects want to share all their information together. And this is where we become whole. So our journey is to reignite the ego with Otto and Sue into alignment, into harmony of emotions. And it's like in the direction of love, because that is universal. Everyone is different, but we all know, like love, when you say the word love, it carries feelings. So words have feelings. When I notice, number 1, I try not to forget my number 1 rule is that you will fight to be right. That means I'm going to fight to be right. And when I can notice it in myself, which is the most difficult, I can ask, what am I fighting? And what does it need to be right? It's either one or it's both. And it just can, the more that I can look at it, the more I can let go of that. Yeah. And it's through love, it's through abundance. And we are living so much of our scarcity, through fear, mine, that we can't have any peace. And so ego and Sue, their connection is in the experience. experience, because Sue loves to create, loves passion, and ego, the inner child, when it wants the experience and it wants to go for what it loves. And it's like all of a sudden they come together, and that's where they can meet each other. That's where they can bring their information together. And that's when we go for what we want. When we lay out, like, what do we want? It's not a common question. So when we lay out, what do you want? When they come together, those two parts start to, like, who are you? When we bring attention and focus on it. Because ego does not believe Sue is powerful. And Sue doesn't really care. Sue's like, have whatever you want. Sue knows you're powerful. Sue knows you have everything. It's just here for the experience. So experience it how you want it. So it's understanding that we have the choice. And it's like, what we don't realize is there's a miscommunication around the choice, that it no longer needs to be there. We can make a new choice. And that is called rewiring our brain. Yeah. And so then we have ego. Ego can't communicate with auto, the automatic, the tape player, because ego can only talk in words. And words, Sue can understand the words. Sue can relive the experience, can go back with them, can help, but auto can't. Auto needs the emotions. So ego just talks to itself. Yeah. Is that why it feels like nobody's listening? There's internal, why we can't overcome ourselves, why we can't beat ourselves down, because ego is 1,000,000 times stronger. Sorry, not ego. Ego is 1,000,000 times lesser, because it can only focus a little bit, right? But it's so much energy. And auto takes care of everything else. So it's just a program that auto is running. And auto is 1,000,000 times stronger, bigger, more capable, more information than ego. And so the automatic, the obvious action is inside of auto. When you can begin to decipher what is that feeling, now ego can come in, and ego can say, this is what the experience, because at the same time, the information is now coming out in what we love, rather than coming in and hiding from fear. Now 80% you're going for what you love. Oh my God. Yet why not have 100% positive in your life? Yeah, not always, because we have a current reality. Yeah, the current reality is to be in touch with our emotions, is to be as true in the moment as we can. And so we spend, if you think about where does your focus and energy go through ego, it is distracted everywhere. So you only have so much of it. And when you distract it everywhere, where are your emotions? They are running the show. You're in default. You're in entertainment mode. You're a victim. So ego starts to see its focus, starts to go for what they want, and your auto conditioning, your auto patterns reveal why you can't have it. This is the trick. Not, oh, no, look at that. Look at me trying to trick us. It is not a trick. This is the key aspect of being in your structure. Where are you starting? Where is your focus? And so when you ask the question, what do I want? The resistance, try it. Are you resisting even asking that question? This is what you need to see. Because when you see this, you can let it go. You don't have to fight it anymore. So don't forget the first rule. Jess, don't forget the first rule is that you will fight to be right. And you are right. Because it's painful to admit a mistake. It's painful to be wrong. And it's all just a child. It's ego as a child that made sense of the world, who was just learning words. And so when ego and Sue lay out, this is what we want in love, in passion, in creation. Yeah. The auto is going to say, oh, we can't have it. This is why I've put up all these things in front of you, little ego, of why you can't have it. These barriers, these resistance, this limitation. And that's why you can't have it. And ego and auto are so used to not going here because it was so unsafe that you kept these blocks in bridges up. And so ego can now work with Sue to say, hey, what is all this about? Or ego can just go quiet and allow Sue and Otto to work it, because from the very beginning, it has been Sue and Otto. When it was two cells, it was Sue and Otto that came together. Your mother and your father, their aspects came together. Boom, source. Where does creation come from? When were you created? Boom, that spark. And from that moment on, you had information, the field, your family line teaching you how to create this body, this structure, to exist, to survive. And so it gives you the instructions. And so Sue, the superconscious, your genius, your source, has the communication with Otto, your automatic, your tape player, and it can change the tape without any struggle, quick, massive. So you think about this, it's what's happening is your two higher aspects are realigning your ego if you allow it. But you have to give it permission. You have to allow it. Because if you like the ego, your young child, is the gate to the heart. And it's only when you go for what you want. And so we have to let go of our expectations. We have to let go of our feelings and that, or let go and like feel them, notice them, label them, work with them, because the 5 steps that are there, I just went through them with you. And part of that is like, part of this here is to feel it, to experience it for yourself. And so let's feel the first step there. Man, that feels good. And I'm just looking like emotional alignment. It's like, so just so that we can feel and feel the sensation is like when we quiet our ego mind, some people close their eyes. I'm going to slow down my speaking, come aware, bring my focus into the moment of now. I call it in no sense. And just everything that we learned today was our 3 minds, noticing that we have 80% of patterns that are negative, just noticing what our negative patterns are. And just when you acknowledge them, if you shine a light on them, if you allow them to be there and like no longer resist them, you can see for a moment what's there. And it's just something scared. It's an emotion that's scared. It's through fear. And it's okay, you know, because we told stories. This is the human journey. We told stories of what we needed to do to survive. So I'm going to take ego. We take ego just for the experience. Ego comes, like, imagine how young is ego? And just think of whatever visual pops in your head. It's like, be there with ego. And what is this child doing? Just drop back in your heart in no sense. And just imagine, what is this child, this 4-year-old, this 6-year-old? What do you see? See, it's a practice, it's a skill. You improve it the more that you put focus on it. Sometimes our egos go really too fast. We have to learn to slow it down. And first place is to just notice our patterns. And here's just to notice what pattern. Why can't you have what you want? I didn't set that up right. I didn't set that up effective. It was a resistance. So here, let's feel the difference. Let me just change my question. No need to be nervous. It's this little child, it's fine. And just go back to this child. Where are you? What's going on? Acknowledge the emotions, the feelings. What does this child need? And just what do they choose? And walk it through with them. Grab their hands and say, let's go look through life. Hi, I'm your future self. And that's the first step, is what do you want? And then to build it even bigger, as we say, what would it feel like? Bring me emotions. Sometimes we have to start with the emotion. Like, what do you want? And oh, what would that feel like? And what we notice, another way we give our power away, my pattern, my auto was that when I have my money, then I can be happy. Do you see how I gave my power to money, to success? Like that became a pattern. That became my ego pattern that I chased, that when I would have it, then I could be happy. And when I realized that that was my pattern, and then when I realized that was never resolvable, but a confused child put it together, and I've never allowed myself to unpack it and ask the question, like, that doesn't make any sense, because I could never be wrong. What's happening is that just got stretched and stretched, tension, and boom, the two ends just let go, and it was a emotional escape. So what's happening, and we just let the emotions go, and now we can keep the information. And so now you're just back with this little child. Notice it's different now. It's like, oh, he could see what was happening. This is your youngest version, your youngest mind. This is ego. And it's just, you just went through your life, and it's like, oh, look, now we come back to the moment and say, look, how do we want it now? What can we choose from this moment? And then when you do that, you go, what do we want from this moment? You see the resistance comes up again. Oh, why you can't have it? And it comes from a few places. You're not good enough, just as you are. You have to get something. You have to prove something. You have to become someone else. And our whole society tells us like who we need to be. And what that just creates is a loop that never resolves. And we're just miserable. Well, we create a good life with 80% of negative patterns. And it's all in the positive patterns to align the ego with the auto and Sue. Feel like a accordion. It's like that means a big ripple through your family fields, through time, space, past, future, present, positive and negative. And what it is just allowing, like, do you see how heavy all of our negative feelings are? They don't allow us to see the truth. And we see the truth by putting our attention on it. Which means we have to teach our ego, our auto, and Sue what it feels like to know what our true self is. And that is when we can truly create. And then we create what we love. And that is a society that I want to be a part of anyway. So I came out of my innocence. Yeah, I came out of my intuition. I came out of my power, and I was in my ego. noticed it, aligned it, asked, what do I want? What I want is for you to see how powerful you are. When we change these patterns, these sabotaging patterns, these 80%, 95% that are repeatable, when we change them, we change our life. And so as you sit with this child, it's just ask him what he needs to, what does he need to hear? Get down with him or her and listen. Open your heart. Open your energy. Be curious. Be wonder. Learn something. What is it when I have, then I'll be? It's some emotion. We're always going for some emotion. Yet our pattern is to think we need to arrive at something, to have something, to get something. Yeah, just an introduction recode here. Just so you can experience it. And if you just give me permission, you can do it energetically. You can say it out loud. I give Jesse permission to connect to my 3 aspects for treatment, for greater satisfaction in life. And just call all parts in that want to hear, that want to be, all your personalities, all your different emotions, the different information. Ego, hello, ego. Self-talk, judger, inner child. Hi, Sue, Otto. Great to meet you. Yeah, so if you just give me permission, otherwise you can just energetically just observe the process. You don't have to engage, and if you don't engage or know this work, we can hold the field so that it's in the direction of love, in the direction of peace, and in love. So amplifying life. Yeah, good. And so I'm body testing. I'm sensing. I'm in no sense. My intuition is a great way to speak about it, and it's more of the automatic. It's our communication system of that. And so just close your eyes and just feel your heart. Notice everything, but try to let go. Just be as much in the moment, in the present, as it is the truth. Then we'll unpack, which is number 4. We'll do a recode, which is where we're at. And then we'll look at the obvious action and what resistance you have. And so we're going to step into a 3-chair recode. And so imagine you got ego. Take your inner child, you got 2 chairs. Just imagine 2 chairs facing each other. They're both empty right now. I'll tell you what to do. So just slow down. Explain it perfectly. just as is, as needed, no more, no less. So if all parts are on board, just connecting into 3 chair and sit in 1 chair as your inner child. Yeah, just in anticipation of this meeting. What do you feel? Do you feel big or small? Light or heavy? Hidden or proud? If nothing's there, just make it up. We've shut it off for so long. Ego can talk us out of it. What do you want? Why can't you have it? Good. And just be this. Open the door. And whatever you fear is in that chair. Notice what it is. Have the strength to just sit here and see it for what it is, how it is. Superconscious, just build a safety around this. Yeah, we have a bubble of love that is a million times stronger. And it is infinite as it is connected to source, to love, to truth. Superconscious, just for inside this recode, just keep it as safe and as secure, as small, yet as there we thank you. Thank you. So what you fear is in that chair. Just allow it to be there. Notice it. Notice how it's now different. What is different? So now that it's here, fear's here. This child, let's look around you. Who's with you? Who's supporting you? You notice you're not alone. Just notice who's here, who's with you. Thank them. Deep breath in. So what is your outcome here? What do you believe? What is now possible? Just amplify that power, that peace, and that purpose. There we go. Clarity around purpose, aligning. Superconscious, just do a massive change history. Through the eyes, through the ear, through all the senses. There we go. Whew. Around the spine, all the way through the core, through the intestines, through the heart, through Sue, through Otto, and ego. Through peace. With peace and with love, just allow those ripples. Just observe it, allow it. No mean to be scared or afraid of it. Just allow what's there to process. What do you want to say to fear? And say it. What outcome do you want? In love, yeah. Good. Higher self always good. All right, now just to leave it all there, float up all the way in, all the way out. Super conscious, we still have this bubble, still protect with love, light, and just increase satisfaction in life today. Just a little part of that, just a tiny piece of it, and just allow yourself to hear this inner child, hear. And breathe. In agreement with agreement. No, neutral. Thank you. Always, neutral. Stay on the sidelines if you choose. Still good. Now come in as the sphere. Hear through the eyes, the ears, the lungs, and just everything you've resisted. What is this child saying? What does he need to know? What does she need to know? What do you want? It's the same thing. What does the inner child need to know? All right, leave this, flow back on up. Just come on out. Thank you. All the way up. And now come in as your genius, as truth, power, and peace. Connected to all source, all love, all light. Just think about what it is that you want. What did you say? What did you want? And you heard the whole conversation. What do they need to know? What will bring them together? Super conscious, yes. Just bring them together, align, introduce them together, their strengths, no longer good, bad, just is. Align them into a life we love, true nature and purpose, powerful creators, a life you love, health and vitality. Through peace, through power, through purpose. Just to allow all the information that needs to be there, allow the processing of the resistance. Superconscious, do a massive change history. Releasing the emotions and grounding the memories back, keeping the information. And as it rebounds, as it recodes, as it reflects, ripples through, just case it with peace, love, and joy. Good. It's always now. Let's go ahead and come on back. You can still keep your eyes closed if you like. Come halfway back and just sit back down in this chair in your back in this room with fear. Just imagine it. What do you see now? What's different? How does it feel? What are you doing together? What are you going for? So now the fifth step. What is the obvious action? Think about what you learned about fear, about your fear. That fear could be loved, and love can be fear. And see that hate and love exist together, evil, good and bad, right and wrong, heaven and hell, God and devil, all of that, right? They exist inside of each other. Just all the stories that we have, just obvious action. It's been our journey, intuition. You'll have resistance to this action. It is either a feminine action or a masculine action. What's obvious? If you're not getting anything, what's obvious? What do you want? Peace. What would you be doing to have peace? Do that. And just know where that pattern shows up, just replace it with peace. Where that fear shows up, introduce it. It's like, oh, here's the feeling of peace. Release it there. Do this 10 minutes a day. And anytime you have resistance is to acknowledge it. What am I fighting? What do I need to be right about? And after a while, all of these patterns get out of the way and you can choose what you want with the rest of your 6 hours, your 13 hours. Oh, I mean, all 16 now when you can create what you want. So imagine what life would be like if we flipped from 20% positive to 80% positive. That is exponentially different. I can't even fathom if every individual began as a powerful creator to create that. So that is how we can create peace. That's the recode process. That's what I teach you to do for yourself, for groups, for others. So that we can remove the resistance and align our 3 aspects so that we can go for what we want. That's the experience. That's what we're after. So notice your sabotaging pattern this week. Notice, practice your focus. Meditations help. The 10 minutes of the daily routine process here. Stepping into what does it feel like? Practice it, visualize it, see it, teach your body what it would be like. Teach your body it's safe to have it. Look for your sabotaging patterns. When I have what am I fighting? What do I need to be right about? And every time you notice it, the best question to ask is, what do I want? And put it out into the future and make something up. Put it out there, just try it on. And it's like, put that out there. Do I want that? No, I don't like that. Okay, well, let me try it another one. See, it's playing your instrument, which is your thoughts and your emotions, aligning them up with your ego, Otto, and Sue. such a pleasure to share this with you. Next time, love to hear in the comments what your pattern was. What did you notice? So you notice one and you can notice it go bigger. And what we find is that it really comes down to just a few core, that once we shift the core, or the big ones, as all the other ones start to disappear, and then you can create it how you want it, and you're only going to create it better. And so if we can eliminate the 80% negativity in our life by focusing on one pattern, two patterns, we all have one or two, find it, shift it, replace it with something else. It's like, that is the biggest shift you can make. That's what I'm working to show you, teach you, attract you in, like, so that we can go and create. Have a great week. Talk next time.